there's not a lot of Black Muslims our age
Yeah.
to organize with. I feel like that's it.
And I don't even, like, are they all in hiding? Because you know what? It could be that, because I'm technically in hiding, right? Like, I didn't know you existed. Like, I was like, who is that? And then they're like, I gotta be invited. And I was like,
that is true.
So
though.
we could all just be in hiding, be like,
I've seen Black Muslims also in FIU, like in classes.
There's actually a lot, but I just think they don't want to come to like
there's Black Muslims at
spaces just
FIU.
because they know. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Isra. I'm pre-med student, graduate from FIU, but I'm also an organizer as well.
And you are?
Assalamualaikum. Am I looking at it?
Yeah.
This is great. Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is Gandhi. I don't like to call myself an organizer. I do organizing work. I'm involved in a few different organizations, and I'm a graduate student.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatma. I'm an upcoming senior at FIU. I also organize plenty in the communities. I teach Quran. I like to see myself as a big part of the community, helping each other.
Hey guys, as you guys know, this is Diana Bratz. Welcome back to my channel. I have these lovely ladies with me today. They are literally like my family, my community, my Black sisters, my queen. They are like the only ones. Do we have any more? That's not even a question, okay? So we are gathered here today to discuss issues that we have been facing and issues Black America have been facing. So we really wanted to sit down and discuss some of the racial injustice, police brutality, and our own experience in the Muslim community. So we missing you. We are missing you. Missing Asma, and we wish you could have been here with us, but we're going to honor her and whoever we are whoever else we're missing that is, you know, Black woman, Muslim, and that they're just not here. Just holler at me, call me, text me, DM me, so you could be around us here. We need more. We really do.
Sure.
Like, we would really appreciate it, and I am so grateful to be sitting here among these lovely ladies. Like I said, they are my family, so we're going to go ahead right on and just have this nice discussion. And if you hurt by the end of this video, you should be.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like there's so much to talk about. There's so much things to like address. It's not even funny. I don't even know. Like, where you guys at? Where's your mindset at? Because it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I feel like with obviously the murder of George Floyd and like the protests that's kind of gone global. Like, you're really seeing a lot of like militant movements on the ground. Like, obviously you have like, you know, this discourse and people talking about, you know, Black liberation and movement, but also what you're seeing is like non-Black communities talking about what they are, so their relationship with the Black community, right? So I think you guys heard the story about like, you know, the person or the store who called like the cops on George Floyd was like this Arab store owner and everything, and it really kind of caused this necessary need for like just conversation, but also relationship building with like the Black community. And I feel like there's like a lot all of us can say about just our experiences and like the microaggressions we feel. Just dealing with like, you know, from school, from masajid, with like, you know, Arabs and desis. And, you know, I feel like, you know, right now it's given space to those like anxieties that's happening.
It's like boiled up like anger.
Yeah.
It was just like the camel that broke its neck. And and then the protests coming up for the audacity for them like to go in this space and say the looting, they shouldn't loot, they shouldn't do that, and they've never had any experience prior or any community work. So for them that entitlement, the audacity for them to even come in within that space to even say that, like, I don't even know like where you get that from.
There was a whole thing that happened on my Instagram where someone posted something very similar, basically trying to police how Black folks respond to these types of things when they happen. And for me, it has always felt that like no one really cares about like Black suffering. And even when it came to like people's responses who I've seen, who I felt were like these are like folks who are like we're gonna go on the ground together, and we're gonna like do this work together, and we're gonna be out there protesting on the streets together. Like even those folks would like say things about like the looting and like and making excuses for the police being called and so on and so forth. But even specifically like what Fatima said with the response to the quote-unquote looting. I don't even like to use looting. I'm going to call it the revolution of it that is still continuing on the ground. Is that I've seen folks who were quicker to respond to what they deemed as looting and destroying the communities versus how their lack of response to the police's initial response to the peaceful the peaceful protest that happened to begin and at the beginning. So it kind of just goes back to this idea that like people really don't. I mean, they may be upset about like what the police are doing with like the fact that the police killed George Floyd, right? But at the end of the day, what bothers them more and what bothers some folks more is
the looting.
Is their not what. Okay, I'm gonna reword that. What folks are more concerned with is Black folks' responses to things. Yeah. So if they feel like we are being unruly or we're quote unquote, someone said we're proving people's points right about like how Black folks are, they have more to say about that, and they care more about policing how Black people choose to like how Black people choose to show our suffering and our pain and our oppression versus how they see the oppressive systems that cause us to be in these ways to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, even going off of that, it's like it's not even just George Floyd. It's just like people don't understand like how chaotic and traumatic Black life is. Like from the get-go, like every day, like it's just people are just so used to this normal of like Black people dying, of Black people being killed, of Black children being shot. I mean, Black people suffering in prisons. Like people are just so used to our oppression that any kind of like violent response, which is justified, you know, responding to oppression, is kind of seen as like, oh no, you're breaking like the normalcy. We're kind of used to that and everything. And I think going back off of like, you know, like non-Black people, you know, jumping on it and whatnot. You even see like companies, like first Starbucks was like to its employees, no one can wear Black Lives Matter stuff, but then like they're like, oh no, now you guys can wear it. So you're seeing even companies, people like really, like what I'm seeing, like all these kind of responses, like people just kind of capitalizing on the issue just because it's such a big issue. Yeah. Like if you don't have like a stand, then maybe you don't care about it all, but it's like really just a pretense. And that's why that's kind of how I view a lot of like these ally workshops, these things, because if you really did care, then you would have been there from the beginning, understanding that from the beginning, like Black life has always been a chaotic situation. I don't know why it just took you George Floyd, or it took you because it's quarantine and people are out of jobs and like, you know, their stress levels are so high. But it's like not even understanding that that point. And I think like at least my view is like a lot of it is just like people capitalizing off of it. They want to make money off of it because Black Lives Matter is trendy. They can make money like from Hollywood to companies to, you know, these non-Black people, these imams at masajid, because you guys never really made a statement, or even if Muslims come to you, you don't really say anything.
Right.
And that's the thing. You don't say anything. You only choose to say something when something big happens, when something forces you, and you only do that for the pretense of like other like people, of other like non-Black people as well.
I really do feel like everyone is just, it's a trend. They are doing it because it's hot right now. Everyone is talking about it right now. And they feel like they have an image to uphold, so they go ahead and just post Black Lives Matter or posting little things just for them to like, because just for them to make sure that they don't get called out. And then some companies have been called out, you know. So just like you said, it is a marketing strategy right now. It is something, and I just want you guys to know we are not a trend. You know, this been happening. Like this is serious. This is something that we face every day on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean,
it's unfortunate.
For you guys, like specifically, like within the Muslim community, because we're all like, you know, in South Florida, like at least our experiences too. Like, how do you feel like, you know, our experience in South Florida Muslim community kind of fits with all of this in the bigger picture? I mean, go ahead, like, sorry.
Y'all already know how I feel about this Muslim community. Like, you guys already know how I feel. Like this. There's no sense of community, and as a convert, I feel deeply, strongly about this community, and I don't even want it to call. I don't even want to call it a community, like
because it's not.
It's not. It's really not.
It's actually really funny. It's like there are so many masjids who like release statements and have press conferences, and organizations were doing events. Like one organization was doing an event with the Muslim community up in, what was it, Coral Springs, somewhere up north, and they actually did the event like with the police. They were like, the police will be providing security, and I was like, for who? Like,
exactly, they're killing us, they're shooting us.
It's just all so hypocritical, and it feels so hypocritical, specifically like for me anyway, knowing that there are like masjids who are like, oh, like, yeah, we're supportive of Black life and blah 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 blah, but like how they treated us when we were at that masjid, or organizations or like other youth groups who were like reaching out and being like, oh, hey, like, we want to show up and support. How do we become allies?
How to be an ally.
How do we do all of that? But like the same folks who were part of those organizations, when we were trying to do events at different masjids, were like, yo, you guys should just like stick to the Black stuff. Like, we'll handle the Islamic stuff, because basically y'all don't know any better. And I was like, oh, okay. So like it's you can't go off and try to like be supportive of this larger movement that's happening without even attempting to address the internalized anti-Blackness that your masjids, community centers, and community organizations have. So when I see folks who have said to me, our organization doesn't have an issue, we have enough Black people, there's 2 Black people in the organization, we don't have a race problem, go out and speak out against racism, I'm like, this is like you're talking through your butt, because what you've actively done the exact opposite. And I mean, y'all know I don't do anything.
I know you guys been here a little bit longer than I have been, so I really want to know like what you guys have experienced like here as like Black Muslims.
So we all went to the same Islamic school. That's all where it begins. But I feel like even Nandi's point about the things like, oh, let us do the religious stuff, you guys do the Black stuff. Like, you know what I mean? How traumatic.
What is that? What is that?
Like, even saying, like, our identities of being Black and Muslim is somehow, like, you know, we're not Islamic enough because, you know, our oppression isn't rooted in Islam or whatever. Like, even trying to divorce Islam away from Blackness, from, like, Black oppression, as if, like, you know, we're sinful or, like, we're doing something wrong is, like, really such an, like, emotionally like abusive way to even talk to another Muslim, to say like your oppression, your experiences are like divorced from Islam or anything like that. And it really honestly begins, I think, at, like, even, you know, talking about Islamic schools, because I feel like so many Black Muslims who have gone to Islamic schools all can, like, you know, agree on the microaggressions they receive, not just from classmates, from racist Arab and Desi teachers that, you know, have something to say about, you know, you being, you know, truly Muslim enough, or, you know, how, like, all of that. And, like, I just feel like it's just, like, it's a conversation that's been needed for so long, and especially involving Islamic schools, because I think for a lot of Black Muslim children, that's where they receive, like, the most, like, microaggressions and racist. Because even our little brother, like, he's been called, like, you know,
I was telling
someone,
like,
the N-word.
all these Desi
someone
kids.
was asking me, like, what can I do, like, to, in this movement, whatever. I'm like, we don't need you, like, out, putting those, like, black posts, whatever, Blackout Tuesdays, whatever. If you truly care and want to take actions, you have to start within your community.
Within your community.
So, I was telling them, like, you have to go to Islamic schools because that person is part of the community organizations. If a child comes to you and says, oh, they called me a racist term, you have to take it seriously. You have to get everyone involved. You have to suspend or do something, or expel, like, do something huge, like, to show that child that racism
that is not okay.
It's not okay.
Right.
And it starts small. I'm like, you have to teach them all about microaggression. It starts small within that community if you really want to start anywhere.
Yeah, and it's not even
It's
like
pretense
like
and
even on that, like
saving face.
I'm talking about teachers, like, oh, don't be in the sun too long. Like, you know, like maybe racist out of teachers that be talking to other like Arab or Desi girls. Like, hey, don't be in the sun too long. You know, you don't want your skin to be dark or anything. It's just like it's so embedded like in the culture that it's not even, it's like a subconscious like racism. Like they don't even understand, like they're not even aware of like the other like dark children like right next to them. Like when you say that, when you verbalize that to other children, like what do you say about us? Like we think about that. We
I remember
right.
because our school required us to wear like white scarves and everything. I remember I was sitting next to this
Why
Adam.
white scarves?
because it was a uniform.
Oh, I was like, hold on.
Like all the
White bars, white
White
wigs, what's going on?
What is it?
The fashion sense of Islamic schools also needs to be like they could also make uniforms with
But, like,
blue abaya and white hijab.
Yeah. I was sitting next to this girl. They require us to wear the white scarves, and we were outside. She's like, "Oh, I hate wearing this white scarf. It makes me look black or whatever." I'm like, "What?" And I heard that when I was like a freshman or a sophomore, and she said it's so like natural, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's
Right.
like whatever, and like in front of everyone, like. Because she's so used to it, and it's always been allowed. I don't even know if she realizes it. You know, it's been a part of them.
That is crazy though. You guys experienced that, like.
Oh, that's only some of it.
no.
That's the easy part of it.
Yeah, no, that school was. And I only stayed for 2 years. Alhamdulillah. Like my mom was like, "I'm not doing this to my kids," which is really interesting because the whole reason I grew up in California. And the whole reason we moved here was because my parents were like, I want to send them to Islamic school. And the Islamic school we were at when we were in Fresno, like, just stuff happened and, like, it ended up closing down.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, like, they looked the school up online. The website is beautiful. The website is always beautiful.
We were all duped by the website.
Yeah, I know, right? And, like, literally, have only ever been bullied, like, at that school. Because I was the only black person in my class.
Yeah.
Like, between teachers and students, I had my hijab. How do you have your hijab pulled off in an Islamic school? I had my hijab pulled off, and they would make fun of my hair. One of the other students.
Another little girl.
I don't know if it was. Honestly, I don't remember who it was. I remember like I used to have kids saying like, "You're not really black because of how I talk." You know, like these are all like non-black kids, like teachers telling me I'm lying about things, not believing me,
That's
all the time. I still have a very deep-seated dislike for like a few of those teachers who I still see, and I'm just like, I don't like you, like it's so bad, and it's this continuous cycle of just like messing up kids. So like. Now it's like the comments that they used to make about like my lips and my forehead being like protruding and being big. Yeah. Like it's taken so much for me to like to like unlearn all of that and be like, nah, like we got people going to like getting Botox for their lips to look like ours and so like having to unlearn all of that from like when I was a kid. Is just it's a lot. Yeah. Like don't screw up your kids, guys.
Yeah, I'm literally the CEO of Big Forehead and Big Lips. So when I was in school, that's all they made fun of, like, you know. So
yeah, I mean,
thankfully I wasn't definitely not in Islamic school, so I didn't really get to experience that. I went to a black school, so
I think even like the internalized thing, because I can remember like earliest like memories of me like either being 9 or 10, like it was another Islamic school before that. It was still in South Florida. Every time I would go to it, I would make sure to like really tie my hijab really tightly, because I didn't want like them to know my hair. No, not even pull it off, but to know my hair was like poofy or like, you know, everything, because it was just so internalized, and it just became part of my routine. and I didn't even know that. Like, I would tie it so hard that sometimes even like marks on my neck. And I was like,
Wow.
and I didn't realize like that was like internalized like anti-blackness until like really like later. It was like, oh, it just like made sense. Like, of course I had to do it like that type. That's what they said and everything. But I realized like really they just didn't want to see like, you know, the line or the outline of like, you know, Afro hair and things like that, and being just super ashamed of that. Like, imagine going to an Islamic school wearing hijab and still feeling ashamed of your hair, even though you're not even showing it. But it's like how much hatred you have for that, and it's like, you know, you have these memories of like, oh my god, I can't believe like I used to do that. It was part of my routine. It's like, you know, when you grow up, you kind of you just work through that.
For me, same school we were talking about. Yeah. So it was me and this other black girl, whatever. They would do some, I guess, like microaggressions and everything. But that time, I don't know why, but I wasn't that aware of it. I wasn't like, what do you call it? Like, not culturally aware, like critical race theory aware, like stuff like that. I didn't know.
You weren't like aware of like.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like a lot of
What
people
can I
get
do?
away with things when you're younger because you technically don't really know. Like, you technically like, hold on, is he being racist to me right now? Is
You don't have the language.
You know, you don't have, you
You
don't,
don't
right.
know.
Just like she's saying, like, you can't process it. You can't really, like, think critically. So, to me, it was just, like, a little bit different. But I know recently, like, not too long ago, like, one of them was just, like, the light turned off at, I'm not going to say exactly where, but we were somewhere and the light went off, and then one of them was just like, where's Diana? I can't see her. Where's she at? Oh, child.
Ooh.
I think I went off. Experienced in front of
I didn't think
Like,
about
who
it.
the frick is this?
Yeah,
God.
but I think even then, like to even think like that person right now is like a young adult, but not even
that
having
person
that
right
type
now
of
is
awareness.
fighting for Black Lives Matter. So I just hope they really
I
think
mean,
about like,
yeah.
damn, what all
Like,
the
just
things I've
fight that
done.
hard within your communities. Fix your communities. Fix your like your children. Whatever.
Right. Stop joking
Parents
around like
don't
that because
care,
it's not
like,
funny.
You would
Really
come
not.
to the parents and tell them, "Oh, your child said racist term." They're like, "Oh, my child would never do that." And
I'm like, you do that
Just so
in your own
defensive.
language. You do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Where do you think they get it
Kablu,
from?
that's what they say.
You know
Whatever.
what? I just found out what
Basically-
Abid even mean. Like, I didn't even know what it meant at all.